I'm Diane Pena, and I was the coordinator for infant services for several decades at the Foundation for Blind Children. Now I work with Michelle Turner. I wanted everybody to know about her work a little bit more. So Michelle, even though you've developed your own method of treatment, what made you come to where you are now?
I produced a special needs child, didn't know it at the time. At 13 months, my son regressed to beyond a 3-month level. Prior to that, he was walking and talking and cruising and doing everything that you just don't worry about. And he got sick. I thought he was sick for a day, then a week, and I didn't know I was looking at a lifetime. And we went from ear infections and that kind of thing, but he never had a fever. So there was never an alarm that my son was really sick, except from me. Then all of a sudden, because he wasn't walking by 2, I was told he would never walk or talk again. But also then I found out from Diane, because I had a wonderful support coordinator that just looked at me one day and he was sitting there watching him. Do you think he had a stroke? I was like, what? Who says that to a parent? Because, if he had a stroke, he could go to Foundation. And I don't know what a stroke has to do with Foundation. I just never let dust settle on me. And so as soon as I knew about Foundation, because that's the only fault I have about Arizona Services. Arizona Services is amazing. But if you don't know about something, you're not being told about it. Once you know about something, oh yeah, we have it, it's available. I called the Foundation, and that's how Diane and I met. My son was legally blind with CVI at a 2-3 because of his infection. It was always my son's fault. If he was only a little bit stronger, if only he could see, if only could. I finally, around the age of 4, when his goal was to say, Mom and Dad, hope and please help, we kind of was done with a lot and said, I'm going to start figuring it out. And I started doing trainings and different methods. And also too, I give hats off to Foundation guys. The things that I learned in the infant program, in first year preschool, and being involved, as well as SARC, Jumpstart, Pre-Start, More Than Words, all of the programs I took, I was at every Friday that I could take, learning what I could, but I paid attention. I paid attention to the music therapy, I paid attention to the aids and the activities that were being offered, what I could bring home, what I could use, the counseling that we were offered. I just saw that it just needed to be, there needed to be more continuity of care. I just needed to help my child. Here I am.
So you did do quite different training, so you know kind of what's out there a little bit. But you've kind of become a vision expert in my eyes. What led you to that?
When you have a child that's blind, and of course you have to explain to people, well, they can see, and I'm like, because they think blind is blind, but legally blind. To this day, that's the one thing with my child. He can't look at me in the eyes, those kind of things. But I really paid attention to was not, and my only complaint, not so much a VI services, more physical and so forth, were these static pose goals. So one of the things we learned at SARC was, because again I did pre-start and jumpstart training and More Than Words, no dead man rules. So what a dead man rule is, like, the child will sit at attention or attain a seated position for 15 minutes or more. And their argument was, well, so can a dead man. Also, too, what I learned from Diane was recess was one of probably the most beneficial places because of that social interaction. Maybe it was the CBI that my son has as well, but there was a big difference of structural vision and health of the eye to functional vision. Same thing with functional therapy or functional services. When I left services in the school when he was in the 3rd grade, they said he cannot stand on one leg for more than 30 seconds. And I looked at him, I said, he's not a flamingo. He does karate at that point. He can walk down a hallway. He can attain poses on one leg. When something you're asking a child to do that's really not a functional movement is what I specialize in, it's functional vision, then they're not going to attain it because it just doesn't go into their system. And you can see this with astronauts as well, is when you lose functional movements, that's when the body breaks down. So you can see the reverse even for anti-aging. Our vision needs to have function. So as you know too, as I have a child with autism, it tends to be that lack of peripheral, that lack of eye contact. Oh, just navigating, working the room, as I like to say. 2, I thought it was natural that you can touch. I can touch someone, and I'm actually pretty good at actually getting down to the acuity and the astigmatism. Obviously, I'm not going to diagnose by any way, but I can tell by spinal movements, fine and gross, that, like, we're going to ophthalmology tomorrow. When I did it for the first time on Diane, and again, it's sort of like, I guess, tuning a Steinway versus tuning a piano. You just get used to it, so I can tell by just vertebrae functions if the child can go into upper quadrant or lower quadrant, where they have the difficulties. And so it's that coordination of the brain, the body, and vision that go all into functional movements. So it's not about just grabbing a spoon and getting it to the face. If you don't have convergence or that binocular vision, that spoon bit's pretty scary, and the child might come backwards just because they want to keep it in focus, but at the same time never get to their mouth. Every child processes their function of vision differently to the way they organize movement, especially when they don't have typical developmental movement patterns. I did present a paper on this at Harvard, Infant Developmental Movement Patterns, birth to 4.5 months, and now I'm starting to present vision and movement milestones, birth to 1 year, just to coordinate all of those things, to give more knowledge that if the vision is off, the development's going to be off. And if the development's going to be off, then the vision's going to be off. I think vision is probably the most underlooked areas of movement and function. And also, too, I swear by this statement, if you improve their vision, you're going to improve every movement in the body. It's just the fastest way to get into a child is through vision. It has to be done with a thorough eye examination, which is far and few between. All of that needs to be upgraded, because a child will be referred to neurology much quicker than they're going to be referred to, let's say, ophthalmology, or they don't even think that one and the same at the same time. Then they have to go that dance first before then they get knocked back down, if ever. Or someone might just do something like this and go, oh, they can just see just fine. How do you know that they don't have optic nerve hypoplasia or something like that? And again, that structure will affect the function of the eyes differently.
Well, I have to say that I have seen things that I didn't think were possible, and still do, even today. Yes, that's right. I remember that there was a child, and he wasn't seeing at all. Remember that you just, honestly, you hadn't even started working on him, and you pressed like right around here on his back, and he goes, oh, and he sees.
Yeah.
It was the most of my whole career. I've never seen anything like it. How did that happen?
You could say it simply as organizing the diaphragm, but it really isn't that simple. One of the first movements that are supposed to happen, it's not a reflex, it's a movement, is breathing. And breathing, when the child comes out of the vaginal canal, it's different. So with the extension, there's a palate. I refer to it as a cavitation, very similar to a champagne cork. The parietal bones come in and bring the baby out, and goes again, spinal extension, and it allows the intercostal muscles of the lung to come into full cycle. Breath goes into full cycle, and it organizes that diaphragm, because the diaphragm is not a functioning muscle. Well, you and I can say inhale for 4 seconds. You can't say that to a brand new newborn. They go off of a vacuum relief. If a child doesn't come into that organization, then the vision is off. Why? The diaphragm and that breath, right, see how my eyes, that's almost like bringing my eyes to the horizon. Now I get it that a brand new newborn doesn't see like that, but these organizations of movements take place literally at birth. And when they don't, let's say, for an example, a premature child, and that's where you see a lot of this, as you know, the skin grows before the final weight comes into play. Lots of times when babies are born, they have more skin ratio than they do with their body mass and fluid dynamics. You'll see the breathing kind of shake like this. Well, look what it's doing to my vision. I can't, keep my eye on the prize. That synchronization is off. So if I know if a child's premature, especially been exposed to drugs, meth happens to have that cry versus that crying is a movement that goes through the system. And so when that's off, so you just go in, find and organize that diaphragm, and literally it's like their eyes can find that center again, that absolute horizon that I referred to, not exteriorly in the body, and they can see. It's actually, one of those is on YouTube. So you hear Diane in the background saying, there goes Michelle with that magic button. There it goes. So yeah, it's pretty cool when it happens.
I know for me, I want every vision teacher to know about you, because I think it's important that families get all the services that they need. We just saw a child that has been all over everywhere for services, and they live 14 miles from Michelle. She said, I can't believe that we've traveled so much and you were in our backyard. I know I've met people from all over the world that have come here just to see Michelle, and she always gets results. That's the weird part. And I just feel like every child should at least have the opportunity for their parent to know about this.
I do have some extensive courses like Unlocking the Secrets of CVI, again, where it goes into functional vision and movement, even understanding the learning processes of an infant, which is different than an adult. Our cognitive vision class is probably one of the most thorough of, again, using my diamond scale functional visual assessment of learning how the eye works. And I'm actually teaching now my first live training into functional vision and really explaining the function of how the eyes get affected in vision. But I just can't stress enough that knowing how a child can use their vision through their body. So I think a lot of vision teachers, and I'm just saying a lot, I'm not trying to be disrespectful of it's not about knowing what vision and CP is, and vision and autism. That person, including Diane, myself, you organize your vision totally different than anybody else in the world. Vision is so unique, almost like we dress differently and choose our clothing. And to see that and to use that, but also to know that if there's a movement that a child or baby finds difficult or that hurts them, they won't do the movement. So to say that a child, let's say with autism, doesn't respond to their name or have eye contact, well, they're really having trouble with upper thorax rotation, and so to look there, I might threaten my balance. I might threaten, no difference than let's say a senior citizen. So when it comes into play, if this is difficult, then I'm just not going to have peripheral vision. To see those kind of way the body wants to organize movement and their vision really is just the icing in the cake. And to learn that is just a little bit of different thinking process than what you're used to versus just an anatomical and learning about just the anatomy of the eye, let's say. To incorporate just little things into movement into the system and movement of the eyes, because it's first eye spine, then it goes to eye hand. I'm telling you, it's just going to be a game changer in your world, and more so the parents. I'm not here to brag about that. My son now is in college, guys, and he's a black belt. And he's walking. Is he still hypotonic? Yes. Does he still have full-blown autism? Yes. There should be 50,000 of my kid. My child has full-blown autism, said he would never walk or talk, and he's at college. Now, I don't think he'll ever drive. I don't know if he'll live on his own, or maybe, group thing, although I'm not planning that just yet. He's doing stuff. There should be 50,000 of my son. He should be the example, not the one in a million. Every child that he went to school with, fully at Foundation for Blind, and then fully self-contained, they never got out of the system. And I get it that all children are different. I'm not saying to comparison. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, maybe we can have a group Zoom. Maybe we can start opening those doors of just looking at different things. And as you can see too, any child that's quirky, Ryan likes to use the word quirky, they all get tossed into CVI. What I'm not seeing nowadays is binocular vision and convergence. Too much time on their backs, car seats, even just in typical children. The visual immaturity that's showing up in our kids is just going through the roof. We just got to join forces. We really do. I really have some tricks to show you.
Michelle, how could find those things on the internet?
I have the largest library of working with the human body online for free on YouTube. I've been at YouTube since 2009. I have wonderful courses online. A free course that all of you should be taking is Vision in Your Child, of just teaching the parents tips to a successful ophthalmology appointment and learning about the top 5 diagnoses, which is, is nearsighted, farsighted, astigmatism, etc. And then again, the cognitive vision course is really drop dead, especially with the study guide and everything that goes into it, showing you about different qualities of vision, from sporadic vision to following and tracking, because it really goes into how the brain processes, how a child might have environmental complexities, structural complexities, and or neurological processing. But any child, as you know, that doesn't have binocular vision and convergence technically has CVI. But are we working with CVI or are we working with the binocular vision? I have private groups on Facebook, as well as Vision, CVI, and Movement. That's public vision course. If you go into the CVI or the cognitive vision, I accompany that with private Facebook. I'm proud to say too, of someone that's created a modality, I'm probably the only one that's involved in the Facebook community and online where people really can reach out and share a video, what's wrong with my child kind of thing. And I respond back with lives and stuff.
If they go to movementlesson.com, is that?
No, it's movementlesson.academy. That's our courses. One of the things we're about to launch off is even a subscription site where we're going to be going into like lessons that I have with Diane. I want to make it clear too with Diane, when I had a near drowning that I was starting to see, and I was like, get out of here. And so I called her up and I was like, can you come over and check out this kid? Because I really think he's starting to see. Because he was 5.5 months in rehabilitation with pre-suck reflexes. And she goes, well, as long as I can do what I need to do. And I was like, as long as I can do what I can do. And we've been working together ever since. It's just been a pleasure. Both Diane and I are here to help you. Diane's been at this for decades.
And
She
we do
hasn't
work
let
with
me.
Dr. Cassidy.
Right.
Actually, exclusively, just because of the wonderful reports that he's able to give us. We agree with him almost every single time.
I'm the first person out there to recommend an ophthalmologist. It really is breaking my heart lately more and more that I'm seeing CDI diagnoses and they haven't even had a proper visual evaluation. If you want to know about functional vision, you're not going to find it with teller cards and Cardiff cards.
Well, thank you for what you do for kids, Michelle. It's just utterly amazing, and I certainly know if I had a child, I would be here all the time. There are two other practitioners that work with Michelle here in Phoenix, and there's practitioners all over the world.
A parent has a right to help a child. Not all parents are going to jump in and create their own modality. By the way, too, the science is behind it. I am published. I have papers out. If any of you need to read them, I've just presented 21 theories of biological gravity. I'm doing what I can on that aspect for my work. Really, it's the team. Keeping a parent successful is going to get your child successful. And I'm saying that as a parent that gets frustrated, gets tired. We all do. We haven't had sleep in weeks. Giving you the tools to help the parents. We just, again, it takes a village, and it's a wonderful world out there, but there are too many kids coming in more and more visually impaired, and it's just got to end.
Thank you very much.